Well, hey there, this is Jerry, and I was getting started on another episode of What's Broke Today. And today I got a John Deere riding tractor. It's a model L120. And the backstory on this was out mowing with it, and the blades quit turning. Well, he just assumed that when he ran over a stick or something, flipped the belt off or something like that. So took it back up to the house, shut it off. Looked underneath, the belt was still on. So he got back on it, went to start it, and it wouldn't crank. It's, the battery was basically, it made a little clicking noise, he said, but it was dead. So he charged the battery and then took it back out and mowed, cut, worked good. He couldn't remember how long he drove before the blades shut off again. And of course, that time he just set the parking brake, got off, looked underneath, saw the belt was still on. So luckily he didn't shut it off. He drove it back to the house. Now I have it. The only bad thing was um, when he took it back to the house, he shut it off, went to restart it, and it wouldn't start. And he forgot to shut the key off. So I did end up going and getting a brand new battery to put in it, because when I tried to charge one that was in it, it wouldn't charge back up, and it was like 3 years old, which for a lawn tractor battery anymore is actually a pretty good life. So I got it out here in the barn because I had to wait till it quit raining because it was raining today. Of course, you can see I got help. Um, let's set the choke, turn the meter on, get it set where we want it. And I'm going to open the garage door so we can get some air. And I'm going to start out. I got my meter set on DC volts. I'm going to reach in here and go on the battery. And right now I've got 12.38 volts, which is a little bit low. But I had started this and moved it a couple times, and it's not charging, apparently. Got it running. And with it running, I had 12.23 volts at the battery. Now this mower has the 22 horsepower V-twin Briggs Stratton on it. And my light on my camera just went dead, so I hope you can see. But I'm going to start out. I'm going to unplug this red wire where it attaches to the voltage regulator. And still on DC volts. Now I'm going to touch the battery. Well, I guess I can touch the engine. It's ground. But I'll put the red one up in the harness on the engine. And I do have 12.34 volts. So that tells me that my wire between the battery and the regulator is good. Next thing I got to do is unplug the regulator, and that things don't want to come apart. Usually those things, I just wiggle them a little and they come apart. Oh, that thing. Yeah, that thing, that's been hot. There we go. Yeah, so something's went all wacky there. I'm not sure that one wire was in all the way. Let me plug that back together. But it definitely was melted some. And as soon as I go to plug it together, this wire wants to come out. Well, maybe not come out. That may just be, that wire may be melted there. Because when I look at the, this connector, oh, there we go. Oh yeah, that thing has been hot. So it has melted that thing, but regardless, I'm gonna start this back up. I'm gonna switch my meter to AC volts. Put that on there. Get where I can see. I'm gonna start this up, which you probably won't be able to hear over the engine running. These two black wires go to the stator. I'm gonna take and just back probe these into here. So I gotta try and get as good a connection as I can on our stator wires. And let's start it up and see what we got. Okay, and I've only got between 18 and 19 volts. It is fluctuating between 18.5 and 19, which means we're not getting enough voltage out of our stator. But I'm almost wondering, with that discolored, and this was melted together, I almost think my regulator may have failed, and it fried the stator, because you should be getting, if you want to, you take a regulator rectifier, I want to get, say, 13 or 14 volts out of the regulator. I need 26 to 28 volts AC coming out of the stator. I need almost double the voltage in order to get my 13 out of the regulator, which is like a minimum. And most of the time it should be up closer to 14, which means this needs at least 28 volts. The good thing is, even if it puts out a little more, the regulator will back it off and keep it from overcharging. So what we need to do now is pull the shroud off, which this is one of the, looks like the easy ones because it's got the slots. So let's get our air filter out of here, because there might be a screw underneath the air filter. Let's pull that up, and it is gone. But this thing, not knowing how old it is, there's a good chance somebody's been in here messing with it before or had this off. Okay, I'm going to take a 5/16 and pull these four out. I can get our screen out of the way. And then I'll take my 3/8. I got a deep well 3/8. And loosen. There's 6 of these. They're kind of a shoulder bolt holding the top on. No. Okay, now get those loose. I just loosen them up, and then this, you can work this up off there. Okay, and then I'll need to rearrange things just a little bit. And I'll come back over on this side. Okay. And I'll start out, we're going up. Loosen the nut on the flywheel. There we go. Take out these 2 half-inch headed bolts. Okay. Get them out of the way. Okay. Now there. Knock the dirt off of it. And then I'll get our puller out. Okay, so that looks like the correct bolts I need. Yeah, I think those are metric. Let's start out with this. Okay. That's the ones I want. Okay. Then we'll need our triangle, our center pin thingy, and our screw. And, oh, no, cat, no. I got help. She's trying to dump everything out on the floor. Hi, Ash. What are you doing? She usually supervises, but I think she's trying to tell me she don't want me to work. Okay, get off of that. Okay. So I'll let her stay up there for a little bit. But gotta get that down in there. Get that there. Okay, Ash, you've got to go. Thank you. I need. Let's put this through the other direction. Okay, so let's see how that fits. Oh yeah, that will work. Now I'm turning this so I'm going to put these screws down in and try and keep the same amount of threads exposed um, on both of them so it pulls straight. Oh, so these go down a little more. Because we definitely want to get enough threads in there so that we don't pull the threads up out of the flywheel. Okay. And I laid things down. There it is. So we can take this and okay. I'll put quite a bit of pressure on that, and I'll just take this and a couple times. I'll tighten that up a little more. And And then you usually tell when it pops free because it gets super loose, and then we can just pull this up off. And as you can maybe see around here, our stator is fried. That thing has been hot. All right, now to get our stator off of there, got to be able to get the wires up from underneath that plate here. And that looks like a, can't read that. I think this is a T30 for these, but you just got to try and loosen them up. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to loosen the two that are on the side where the wire's at. And slide down in my chair. And then I'll take a 1/4 inch and if we had smell-o-vision here, this thing has quite the aroma to it. Okay, that's what's hanging me up, is that one over there. But yeah, it definitely fried that. But while I was gone, I went to my parts stash and got where I'd had one of these that the had through a rod, and I saved the good parts off of it. So I got a good stator, because this motor this come off was running good until they didn't check the oil and put windows in the side of the motor. Get that lined up. Once it lines up, it actually falls right down into holes or recesses where the screws go in. And if you don't get it down in those holes all the way, ooh, that's thunder. I don't know if you heard that or not, but yeah, if it's not down there all the way, it's crooked, it'll rub on the magnets under the flywheel. And of course, tighten this down, but like I'm doing it very gently because my cordless being very gentle about that, because this cordless ratchet, I could either break or strip out those bolts. Now I'll go back by hand and tighten these up. Put that back on there, and then I can restart that one and put it in. And this plate would have come up easier if I'd have took this one out over here. Didn't have it hanging me up, but still able to get the job done. Okay. Wipe off the crankshaft. And then we'll take, and I pulled out the flywheel key so I didn't lose it. I'm just going to set the flywheel back down on there, line up the slot, and put my key back in. Slide it down in its groove. Then I can take that back on top, and I'm going to go get my torque wrench so I can torque that down. Okay, so I get my torque wrench, and for this V-twin Briggs, according to the check chart, which I looked up online, it calls for 150 foot-pounds on this flywheel nut, which to me sounds excessive, but what I'm doing is I've got my screwdriver between the flywheel and one of the coils, and hope something don't slip and I smash a finger or hurt myself. Okay, there's 150. And another thing always do is when you're done, back the torque wrench all the way off. There's no, it's not still under pressure in there. And grab a plastic piece, and on this one, it'll go on, two different ways. So you don't have to worry about really putting it on wrong, because the way the flywheel's made, it'll go on either direction, but always pay attention to yours because they're not all this way. And of course, I'm going to put these back down by hand instead of power, because don't want to twist them off. Okay, and then get up. Oh, now we can take our shroud, and there's slots in here that go on the air horn. So if you watch and line those up, usually the rest of this lines up pretty good. And slides down nice and easy. And then tighten it up with a 3/8, and of course it don't have to be super, super tight. Okay, swap out sockets. I get my air screen. And we're gentle with those because we don't want to strip out that plastic piece. Our air filter, pre-filter, don't look too bad. Back down here, get all locked in there, and put a cover on. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is change out and loosen the bottom bolt on the regulator. Take the top one completely out because that's got slots on it. And I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to take the one that was with that stator that I know is good and install it. All right. I'm going to get my meter set up again. We're on AC volts. I'll open the door. And as if you could read my meter, I had 33 AC volts. Well, now I'm going to switch that to DC volts. Let's fire this up again. And that is charging. That now initially when I throttled it up, it did jump up to like 17 volts, but then immediately the regulator picked that up, dropped it back down to like 14.0, 14.1 range. So I'm just going to guess that because the terminal was burnt and melted where it plugged into our regulator, I'm going to bet the regulator is a problem. That it was shorted, causing the stator to overheat and melt. Because if it was just the stator was bad, I wouldn't have been melted where it plugs into the regulator. And of course, for it to be putting out voltage to charge, it has to have the signal from the battery. For this to charge, we have to have 12 volts going to the red wire. And on this John Deere, the red wire does go directly to the battery and does not go through the rest of the system. But on some mowers, like there maybe a Craftsman or an MTD with this engine, this wire could easily be routed through the ignition switch. So you could actually have a lack of voltage getting to here, and thus it never kicks on to charge, but it would never charge because there's not a circuit anyway between here and the battery. So, but yeah, that's got our John Deere ready to roll. Well, I appreciate you watching this episode of What's Broke Today, that getting our charging system fixed. That, like I said, I think our regulator is a primary failed part because I think it's shorted. And the only reason I do that is because this terminal, you can see where it's been hot and it's discolored the plastic, along with, these were kind of stuck together. Had trouble getting them apart. And of course, with that being the way it is, and Let's look at these wires. Yeah, the insulation is a little bit, I don't know, not really melted, but it is a little bit messed up from the heat. But regardless, our stator is bad. I'm 99% sure this is bad. So I put 2 used parts on that I had, and we got her charging. Only thing left to do is take it out and do some mowing with it and recheck the charging. But I feel fairly confident that that's got it fixed, because that stator and regulator, the mower it come off of wasn't having any charging problem. That just have a lack of oil problem. So, but hey, do appreciate you watching. Always like those thumbs up for the likes. I appreciate all those comments, and anybody out there that's not a subscriber better join on in, because they'll tell them what else you're going to see on What's Broke Today. Thank you.